we need to ask the question is what is it that's holding the body together that we've already talked about with respect to the image itself, something being holding this body together. Well, there's clearly nothing here to do that we see at this point. So I'd like to venture with you a hypothesis that could explain all this. And to do that, let's look at the shroud. On the shroud we see a side strip, as it is called in the shroud community, that runs the entire length of the cloth. Now there's two things we know about this side strip. The first is that this side strip was an integral part of the main body of the shroud. And let me show you why that is the case. We need to go over here to another image. This is a transmitted image. It's a transmitted light image. It's an absorption image.
And the shroud is being held up.
In this case, the shroud is being held up. This was taken by Barry Schwartz, who was our photographer in 1978 during the scientific examination. And this photograph shows us many absorption bands that run along the width of the shroud. The important point is that these bands, which are in the main body of the shroud, propagate right across into the side strip, and you can actually see them.
So this side strip had to have been a part of this because the lines running across match.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So taking that piece of information, we're going to add to it one other piece, and that is at the time of the radiocarbon sample taking, this piece of cloth was, when it was removed, actually cut through the seam that's running along that side strip. You see, it's possible that this is all it is just a seam, and that the cloth is still intact. But we learned from the radiocarbon sample taking that that's not the case. This seam has a structure that shows us that the side strip has been removed and then attached for some reason. Somebody at some point thought after this was attached that it was important enough to put it back onto the main body of the cloth. And that's what they did. I would like to hypothesize that what they did is they cut the side strip from the cloth. They needed something to hold the body together. They're improvising. They're putting this together.
Right.
And I think I would submit that's what they did. They simply cut this away, and they used that piece of cloth that they cut away from the length of the shroud to tie the entire body together.
Can you prove that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
We have here a cloth model of the side strip, which we can hold up to the shroud itself. But you can see that for all practical purposes,
it matches the length of the...
This cloth matches the entire length of the shroud. So we're using a reasonably good model.
Okay.
So we're now going to take the side strip and we're going to put it up to the feet to make sure that the bottom of the feet
is touching.
It has to, because there's blood there.
Of contact.
So it's got to be this way in the context of our notions here. And
so that's the bit that would have held the knees together,
yeah.
As you're saying.
See what this is doing? It's going to hold the legs together, which holds the knees, which is what we observe on the shroud. Now that we've held the arms in position, now we have this much cloth that we're just simply going to complete the tying, as we're going to have to, by going underneath the chin, bringing it up, and notice we have just enough cloth to do this. We just simply bring it like so, and we will just complete the tying process with a knot at this location.
I see. Okay.
And we have a wrapping for that I believe is consistent with all the features of the image on the shroud that we see.
So this answers my question about how the cloth is pulled up here.
Yes, the reason it's there is because when they tie it, that pulls the cloth up. Of course, that's before the image is formed, and then the image is formed from that configuration.
And the arms are held together and the knees are held together.
Correct.
And the feet have contact with the bottom, and hence the blood mark.
And hence the blood mark. And I think that all fits. Also, let me show you another thing. When we look here at the bottom of the chin. Notice the disruption that occurs in the cloth. I think that we can see that echoed if we go over here to the negative image.
Okay.
We can see the hair on either side of the face, but when we get down to just the bottom of the chin, it looks like the hair, suddenly there's a disruption, at least to my eye, and we see it over here. I think there's also a disruption in the beard. There's something here.
Which is incongruous.
Yeah, there's a disruption of some nature that is ill-defined, and I would submit that that's consistent with what we are inducing by folding on the cloth here.